you doing? I'm doing great myself. Thank you very much for asking. I want to talk to you about goals. You'll find a lot on YouTube and all over the place about how to set goals, and you're probably having it drilled down your sort of throat and getting a bit tired of it. And you'll do SMART goals, SMART. If you haven't come across that, Google it. Specific, measurable. It's an acronym that stands for the things to make a goal so fulfilling. This is good. But in this video, I'm going to tell you something specific for salespeople looking for high income, which you won't find so much in the books. I do a lot of videos of stuff you won't find in the books. I'm doing a whole sales video, by the way, actually called What You Won't Find in Any Sales Book or on any sales training course, because there's a lot of things come up that don't seem to be recorded quite well. So I'm going to assume that you've got some idea of what your goals are, because you've got to have a goal with a passion and know what you actually want. And people say, I'm money motivated. Well, what for the money, and how hard is that motivation? How serious is it? You've got to start asking these questions. And actually, a money motivation, whereas highly required in sales, often creates its own problems and creates the dropout scenario. So you don't want to be a dropout. You don't want to find that your job isn't working out and you're leaving and looking for something else and totally baffled about what you should be looking for. So I've made some notes as usual, just to make sure the things I want to cover and give you some advice. But as always, do email me, alex@successmoves.co.uk. Always happy, or message me on YouTube on here. Always answer all the questions, comments, requests for help that I can actually do. Okay, now there's some things to be aware of on goals and motivation, and one of the things when you talk about goals, what's not told to you about, you could, if you're not careful, be actually part of somebody else's goal. So your employer and your sales manager, as well as having good leadership and goals for you, will have goals for themselves. Now you've got to make sure that that is balanced and dovetailed, because they'll be interested in their goals, and their goals of recruiting salespeople is to make more sales and get a higher override payment commission on your results. That, they're expecting to be paid for keeping you productive. So that's great, but you've got to actually watch that your goals and theirs actually dovetail in terms of timing, career plans, and so forth. Now, there's a few employer tricks which actually are not that uncommon, I hate to say, but you need to be really careful of. One of them is, let's face it, in sales, we tend to like to make money to spend money. And, few of us are investors because we don't fear the future, because we're going to take action to do something, and if we're ever short of cash, we just make the marginal sale and we've got cash again. So we don't tend to take money that seriously in a bizarre way, not like accountants who would be always looking at investments and rates of return, and savings would be their motive with money. But that spending can get too heavy. I recommend that whatever you earn, put 10% into an investment. That way, with compound interest, if you make good investments, that should make you rich alone long before you're my age, if you're starting out in your 20s. But you need, one of the things sales managers do, they encourage you to be a spendthrift, to buy lots of things. So whatever commission you earn, get a new suit, get a new watch, go on a holiday, and actually go, which is great, but sometimes it's over the top. And what they're trying to do is get you to spend all your money. And the motive is you need to hit the figures again next month to keep the performance up. Because we find with a lot of people, and I found it with people working for me in Success Moves, they have a really good month, a quarter, get a big fat check in, and then they've got lots of cash in the bank. And then there's no action from them until the money runs out. And when the money runs out, suddenly they're all action again. And there's a lot of people like that. So one way employers manage that is to get you to spend a lot of money. I suggest, rather than do have a nice suit and whatever you happen to want, but put 10% in an investment. So you're still short each month, and that keeps your motive. So it's a real concern. If you do build up just in your current account a big balance, it can take pressure off you to perform. So, but if you lock that away in an investment somewhere, the pressure is still on and you've got the money. So that's one of the things I think you should really think about. Now, going to money as a goal we all like to make lots of money. I say to groups, put up your hand if you'd like £1 million, and everyone puts their hands up. But when I say, here's what you have to do it, there's not so many hands up. So how determined are you? But there's something really weak and dangerous about a money orientated goal if it's just solely for the money. Now, there are people who are very successful in sales, and the only goal I can see is the money, that they want money, for whatever reason they want that money for. But it's not a good enough goal. If you look at motivational theories, you'll come across somebody called Maslow that was talked about a hierarchy of needs, which there were many writers. He was quite a good one. And I tend to describe it, say you're shipwrecked on a desert island. Your first need is, what would your first need be? Yeah, you're not looking now for money. You're not looking for promotion or status or recognition or material wealth. You're looking for water, food and shelter. And defense could be a big one against wild animals or what have you. So a very basic human survival needs. And until you've got water, food and shelter sorted, there isn't anything else you really put your mind to. Now, once those are not a problem anymore, you go to a higher level of need. So you're then looking for companionship, friendships, a mate, whatever, and a social life, and enjoy yourself, and maybe a bit more. And then when you've got that satisfied, you go up more to a self-esteem or an actualization to actually meet your life's purpose. When you've got no pressure off in paying the bills and so forth. So there's a hierarchy of needs, and the basic ones need fully satisfying before you move up. That was Maslow's basic idea, which I think applies. I've known a lot of people in sales that when they're struggling and they've got bills to pay, that actually really gets them motivated. It's quite a serious motivator. But when they go to the next level, it weakens up a bit. So you do need goals at the higher level as well as at the basic level to keep you going. And money isn't a good enough one, because it tends to be a survival need. It tends to be a nice to have once you've paid your bills. So you need something more important, more higher. And I would suggest to you it's your whole life. So let's have something a lot more valuable than just money, because money is, it's a great thing. And most people, or a lot of people, might judge your success by how much money you make. I personally don't, because I've been in sales so long. Money is something actually quite easy to make, and it changes hands frequently all the time. It's very easy to make, so it's not a great value. That's not what you're worth. So have a passion and goal which you really want to do. For example, I look in my age group, when I was a teenager, Lennon and McCartney wrote songs, and they became multi-millionaires. But I don't think John Lennon and Paul McCartney ever sat down and said, hey John, how can we make £1 million? No, they had a passion for writing music, and the wealth followed. Like a famous footballer, I think they're actually more motivated in playing football, hopefully for England and we win, than actually the money that top footballers could make. It's what they wanted to do and what their passion was. And if the money wasn't there, they would still do it. And that's the point I would say to you. If all jobs in the world paid 40 grand a year salary, which job would you do? Because if that suddenly you don't want to work in sales anymore, or in a particular area of sales, then it's the wrong thing for you. So there must be an intrinsic value in the work, that you're self-actualizing, that you're getting job satisfaction from, that you love doing. You look forward to Monday morning. I mean, I love my job, have done all my life. And when I've had jobs that had any challenges, I just dropped them, moved on to something else. I love selling. I always love my own business and set it up. And despite the horrendous pressures that you sometimes have with your own business, I never give up. I've had, when you have your own business, you have a lot of very serious obstacles. You'll find that banks and all government and all sorts of things are not quite as friendly and supportive when you're in your own business as they say in the adverts. And so they put a lot of pressure on you, and you can have a negative income, let alone a low income. You can have a negative income when you're running your own business. Lots of serious pressure. If you didn't really want to do it, you would give up. I've had many times when I could have just dropped my business, got a sales job and increased my income by £150,000 a year. But I didn't do so because that's not what I wanted to do. Now, money comes eventually through what you want to do usually, but you should have a goal. of what you really want to do in life, irrespective of money. Once you've got that sorted, focus on making as much money at it as you can. So if you want to be a songwriter, write songs, then focus on making it really lucrative and how to market those songs on wherever you market songs. So you really need to have a passion, something that really you can't wait to get to work on Monday morning. And if you don't have that, I can't wait, you're in the wrong job. Now, we recruit, for example, we've focused on high income sales opportunities. And one of those sectors we've done a lot, in fact, we've cornered the market on, is investment selling. And that's very popular. You know, there's a lot of you young people want to go into investment selling and you come to us and you say, oh, I've always wanted to be a stockbroker and always wanted to do this, that and the other, work in the city. And it's really just the high income that appeals and is attracting. But when I say to people, what do you think's involved? They don't really know much about it. They've not, you know, if you were passionate about it, you'd have read the FT every day and, you know, read books on it and met people and interviewed them and be following courses and so forth. They don't have a passion. So when they start the jobs, they tend to drop out because they find they don't love the work. And suddenly the high income that can come from it for work they don't love doesn't work and they drop out. So you'll find that whole sector has very, very high dropout rates. In fact, I would go as far to say that 9 out of 10 people who join the investment selling sector drop out for that very reason. That's a hideous figure. Now, through Success Moves, we filter that and do a lot more process, so the dropout rate isn't anything like that. But I think I'm making the point here that you need to have a real passion for what you're doing. And if you have a passion, you won't need any motivational help or motivational speakers or motivational trainings. It's just driving you inside. You just can't wait to get at it. So find something you can't wait to get at. And that could be within sales to the product. You know, if you're into a particular product, find the best one that you think is the best one. You know, whether it's phones, cars, overseas villas, whatever. Find the best one that is, and you just think this is the best thing that anybody ever should be buying, because you'll sell so well because you've got a natural passion. You needn't even learn the scripts. You've just got it inside, and it's just energy is coming out and buy, you know, really getting people to buy. So get that passion on your goals. You've got to really love the work itself, not the income that comes from it. Yeah, and that will follow. So when you're looking for your sources of your goals, you know, you look at your goals and think, where did they come from? What makes me want whatever I want? Well, we all have a background that makes us want certain things. My father was in the Royal Air Force and all this, so I grew up on RAF camps. I had no commercial people around me. Nobody around me was in business as a kid, so I was quite naive to that at that point. And my father wanted me to be a fighter pilot in the RAF, which didn't appeal to me. I had different plans, but I always wanted my own business. Where did that come from? I still, you know, I really don't know, but it was a real hard passion and a determination that I was going to get a successful business, whatever the cost, whatever obstacles, whatever objections. There wasn't anything in the universe going to stop me. And that's the attitude. When you've got that attitude to a job, not I'll try my best, see if it works. If you've got any try your best type attitude in there, you will fail. So don't even try your best. Don't even bother. You've got to get something that's right for you. So you can look at your sources. I found a lot of successful people have some odd things in their background that makes them successful. Quite often they've got a chip on their shoulder about something. Their brother or their father was a top salesperson and they just want to beat them. Or somebody said they couldn't do it. That's a great one. There's a lot of people I've seen successful because so many people said they couldn't, that it wound them up so much they just had to prove them all wrong. And you could go negatively on that, but a lot of people use that as an energy to actually fire themselves up. You might just want to make your mum and dad proud, or whoever is sort of behind you, and that's great. But you've got to look at people, look at successful people. Who do you role model? Who do you admire? For example, you might look at a range of people like Richard Branson. You know, I mean, he works passionately. He works like 14-hour days because he loves what he's doing. He's got billions of pounds and yet he works all these hours. Why? Because he loves what he's doing. He could be spending the money, but he's not. Bill Gates is doing charity work around Africa and all sorts of things with his wife. Warren Buffett's in his, I believe, 90s now and still working a full week because he loves what he's doing. And this is what you've got to find, because if you love what you're doing, you'll probably find the money follows because you're really good at it. So you've got to put 10% of whatever you earn into investments. Sorry, I'm reading my notes now as I talk to you, and really get to what you're passionate about. Ask yourself questions. Who do you admire? What are you good at? Why do you want to work in sales? What do you need to develop to be really good in sales? Is there anything? If you've got an accent, you've got to get some elocution and get rid of that accent. If you've got a tonality issues, you can get it trained. If it's sales technique, you can just train and learn. YouTube itself has a lot of great content on there. Read lots of books. There's podcasts. I produce a regular podcast, and there's many other good ones. But know what you really want to do before you even apply for jobs. Don't just send your CV out thinking, oh, well, see this, see that. I know it's very hard when you haven't really started your career and there's all these different jobs and you're not quite sure what you'd like and what you'd not. I spent years as an accountant, would you believe, hated every second of it. I was pushed into that, and there was plenty of jobs and they were well paid, and I was bored stupid. It just really not me. And what I do now I absolutely love. So find something that you absolutely love, and if you have to think about it, it isn't what you absolutely love, right? And I know that, like on the investment sales I mentioned earlier, we ask people, describe what you think happens in a stockbroker office, and they're usually not very accurate. So I can understand that until you've been there, you don't really know what's involved. So do some research, do some inquiring, and if you've got an interest in an area of sales, find somebody in that area of sales and ask them what it's like. Ring the companies. Do a lot of research and get it right. So you've got your whole life ahead of you. Now you've got to get your foundations, get really solid, know that you're in the right place, in the right sector, in the right area. And there's lots of sectors that are really going up right now and real formidable opportunities out there. And make a plan of what your goals are. And I'll talk about that more in other videos, some of the things that I suggest you do. But for now, take it serious. Take the message from this video to do research to find out 100% what you've got a passion for more than anything else in your career life. Great. Have a great day. Adios for now, and I hope to see you soon.